I know I said previously that I wasn't going to do this deck profile. After all, logically it makes no sense. I've already covered it this year. So why am I talking about this once again? Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Mr. here. Today I am back to cover Angerblader in the same year twice. And I know what a lot of you are thinking. Why are you wasting my time? Where are my D1 deck profiles? Why haven't you talked yet? You know, what are you doing? So today I'm here to clarify everything with Angerblader, a deck that truly needs no brain, and he needs no introduction. He is a total format killer. Well, I'm just kidding, he's not. He was just really good back in 2019. He was meta, they hit him, they killed Tachikaze, they brought it back, you know, fossils and shit. But the thing about Angerblader is that he's an OTK deck. He focuses on gathering his pieces, and then on turn 3 he just which D-rolls and kills, and he aims to hit numbers so high, heal guards can't stop him, crit sentinels can't stop him, nothing realistically can. And even if you can stop him, then his goal is to put you at such a detriment that you will no longer be able to recover to put an offense back at him. And that's really the whole point of this deck. Why I'm covering it is because on this channel, as usual, we are going through ride fix promos. And this is something that Angerblader stands to gain a lot. We now have a way to always gather our 3 central attackers, be it copies of Sweeper, Kanto, or copies of, you know, this guy. We are always going to try and make sure that we can get as much of them as possible to beat, kill, and farm the opponent to death. But we need your help, and that's why we're making this deck profile, to teach all of you how to build this. Angerblader was reprinted in the English favorite collection known as History Collection, and apparently it's really cheap because they reprinted him as a common. I don't know why they did this. I love to talk to whoever chose this. But the idea now is very simple. The idea is that this entire deck is worth pennies, literal pennies. You could play at like any ENV event, or hell, even JP, any V event, and you can just straight up win with this because this deck requires no brain, it's completely autopilot, and yeah, it's just that easy to play, and it's very affordable. Like, this thing is almost as affordable as Alden, which says a lot because Alden's like 2,000 yen. So yeah, let's get right through this. As usual, our grade 3s, we are playing 4 copies of Angerblader, and that's really it. I'm not going to count heal guards here, but that's really all there is to him. If you need me to read his skill, I can, but like you kind of should know this by now. I will leave a link in the description below for the previous Angerblader deck profile. But if not, here it goes. Put a rear guard face down as an equipped gauge for another rear guard. To choose one of your opponent's rear guards, retire it. That's the activated skill. You can use this as many times as you want, just -1, -1, -1, -1. So you can keep minusing the opponent and you are building up more gauge. So it's really nice because in V, we tend to see the current revival of Davas. In the English format, for the Japanese format, we are facing more of a different problem. We are facing a great return of a certain clan, which name I cannot say, but the idea is still the same, where they are also borderline. So the idea is to keep striking down the opponent's rears while you accumulate resources, just throwing your whole hand down to 0 to flip, and farm enough advantage to kill the opponent. Why is gathering so many equipped gauges important? When this unit attacks, counterblast 1, stand 3 of your rear guards to 3 of your equipped gauges, and then everyone in your front row gains 5,000 power, including Angerblader. The stand requirement is only up to 3, so even if you ride a second copy of Angerblader and you have 4 open rear guard circles, you can only stand 3 rear guards. This is something that not sure if I mentioned this in the last video, but I'm going to mention this in case Angerblader blows up and this video gets popped by the algorithm. I want to mention it now. It's only 3, you can literally see it there. In the text, but you know, it's fine if you guys can't read, as what people say, oh, card fighters can't read. That's not true. Then why do you guys keep posting articles? Who's it for, huh? Moving on to our grade 2s. Our grade 2s are really simple. We're playing 4 copies of Savage Whacker, but there's more. We are basically going to play the entire old lineup of grade 2s that Angerblader has been famous for. I mean, do we really need an introduction to Sweeper Kanto? We are also bringing back another award winner, the one, the only, our backup attacker, Bomb Raptor. We also play 4 copies of Similodon, and then we are also playing 4 copies of this guy. If you forgot who he is, no one doubts you for forgetting Dipolo Pyro. So there's a lot of grade 2s at once, so I'm trying to cover it from the easiest to the hardest. But I think it's also a good idea to also cover in terms of setup. Similodon, when placed on the rear guard circle or vanguard circle, or when it attacks, you may move the top card of your deck as a quick gauge to one of your rare cards. And that's it. So on place is a gauge, on call it's a gauge, on attack is a gauge. Yeah, it's fast gauge for days, man. It's just gauge, nothing but gauge. Gauge, 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 gauge. We also have this guy. This is Mr. Diplo Pyro. Diplo Pyro is one of our best ride targets, but realistically, you would only want to use his first skill, which is when placed from hand, card loss 1 and draw a card, and then call a card from your hand to a rear guard circle. You may put the top card of your deck face down as a quick gauge for that unit. So basically it's a CB1 draw 1, and it also is a gauge 1. So yay! If you guys remember my Sanctuary Guard video, we are back to doing this. Yeah, it's a previous video, check it out. And then his second skill is irrelevant. When placed from a quick gauge, this unit gains 10,000 power to the end of the turn. You use this for stuff like Gaia and also stuff like Raptors, even Ancient Dragons, but this skill is not applicable to Angerblader. You are only using this skill for the CB1 draw 1. Just so I'm clear, because I don't want people saying, how do I call the gauge out in Angerblader? You don't, okay, you don't. I think now it's time then to move on to the start of the show before we run out of time then. It's time to talk about the Savage Whacker. Just look at it. He's going to whack all of you with that wonderful right face skill. At the beginning of your right face, if your Vanguard is grade 1 or less, discard this card from your hand. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Choose up to 1 grade 2 or less card from among them, reveal it, put it to your hand, and shuffle the deck. Wow, so literally all the cards I just mentioned, plus the rest of the deck, is all searchable by Savage Whacker. Insanity, you know, that Angerblader gets this level of consistency. You literally just tore out a limb of an Eradicator, gave it to the world's most deadliest OTK deck, and told him, cook. Like, God Hand. I would do a God Hand deck profile with the Right Fix promo, but like, honestly, I kind of don't want to keep beating the point in. I think it's really clear that V is in a great spot right now, and that all these really good decks have really good consistency now that you should be afraid of. Like, I don't get why people are saying that, oh, you know, V is dead. No, you guys all got new cards. Hello? Like, what's wrong with you people? But you know what? If they're still mentally whacked in the head, it's time to whack them again. When this unit attacks while boosted, Soul Blast 1, choose one of your equipped gauges, put a top card of your deck face down as a equipped gauge. Then, that unit gains 5,000 power until the end of turn for each of that unit's equipped gauge. 5,000 power for each gauge. That's a lot of power, and you get to restand it again with Angerblader. Like, do you see the interaction? Is it clear? I literally showed you ways you can get a gauge. There are more ways you can get a gauge. And now you're telling me I can stack an additional 5,000 power for each gauge. Like, wow, like, it's insane. It's really insane. I ran out of words for this. Like, if you can tell me, oh, this is a bad deck, what is this? Come on. But I know what you're saying. Well, as there's no way other units can also gain 5,000 power for each gauge. Well, I'm here to simultaneously teach you what Sweeper Kanto and Bomber Raptor does. I'm going to cover Sweeper Kanto since he's the more prolific one, the more irritating one. He's the loud guy in class. When this unit attacks, put a top card of your deck face down as a quick gauge for this unit. It's a once per turn skill, so you can only use this on one of his attacks. This unit gains 5,000 power for each of these units' equipped gauges, and if he has 3 or more equipped gauges, it cannot be chosen by your opponent's card abilities. You read that right. This guy has a continuous effect, not just on my turn, but on your turn, that he gains 5,000 power for each gauge. And if you use him with Savage Whacker, you basically gain 10,000 power for each gauge. It's time to die. You're dead. There is no hope for you. You're dead. Okay? It's over. It's over. But we play 3 more copies of Bomb Raptor. Now, honestly, I used to play 3 to 4 copies of Bomb Raptor because I just needed more attack targets. Now that we have Savage Whacker, we don't really need that many Bomb Raptor. But I'm still going to play 3 because it's the safest option in terms of number of attackers in the deck. When your opponent's rear guard is retired during your turn, put the top card of your deck face down as an equipped gauge for this unit, and you may have this unit gain 5,000 power until the end of the turn for each of these units' equipped gauges. So it's virtually the same as Sweeper Kanto, but this is an auto skill, whereas Sweeper Kanto is an act. So Sweeper Kanto doesn't need an activation, he just always gains the 5 passively. For Bomb Raptor, he needs to see the opponent's rear guard retired, then you tag his skill to give him an additional, 15,000 power normally, and then he's capped at 24,000 power, and he does not have any other sources to gain power. So Super Kanto is definitely a lot better, plus he has resist, but this is just a backup attacker. Alright, we are going to move on straight into our grade 1s. Okay, now this deck profile is going to be pretty fast, so I ask all of you to please stay with me. I promise you, or at least I'm trying not to waste everyone's time here, even though I've covered this deck twice already. Our grade 1s, we cover 4 copies of Zendilo Foe. We play 4 copies of Mr. Prison Bird, the bird is the word, and then we play 2 copies of Lacquer of Trex. You can see we cut off the old promo, the lamb guy. Yeah, we just have too many good cards at this point, so he's gone. But if you still wish to play him, you could play him in a slot of this Lacquer of Rex. It's completely up to you. Prison Bird is our generic grade 3 searcher. Basically, he also ensures as our consistency line to go from Savage Whacker into Prison Bird into Angerblader. Not much to say about him. You're playing 4 grade 3s in the deck, you better bloody well search this guy. Prison Bird also is a 13k booster and attacker, so say what you want, it's pretty good. And then moving on, we have 4 copies of Zendilo Foe. Yeah, I think I'll cover Zendilo Foe first. Zendilo Foe, you can rest this unit, choose one of your rear guards, put the top card of your deck face down as an equip gauge for the unit, or move all of one rear guard's equip gauges to another one of the rear guards that you just selected. Then, if you want, you can counterblast 1, and the chosen unit can get 5,000 power until the end of the turn. You don't use this counterblast game. You have much better uses for the counterblast. The +5 is nice, but you know, I literally just showed you a way better power gainer, so you will not have any need for that. However, it should still be noted that this is your number 1 way to shift gauges from one unit to another, but it will shift all of the equip gauges. So you could build up the equip gauges on one proxy rearguard, and then you can shift them all to another unit. And such a proxy card would be stuff like Lacroterra Rex. Lacroterra Rex, when placed on the rearguard circle from hand, put the top card of your deck face down as an equip gauge from this unit. When this unit is retired from the rearguard circle, so blast 1, return up to 1 equip gauge equipped from this unit back to the hand. You don't really have ways to retire your own rearguards in this deck. Angerblader doesn't really do that. It kind of flips its own gauge into food, but it's just nice that you have a free on-place extra gauge. And in the case that you want to call over him if the gauge is really important, you can Soul Blast 1 and you can access the gauge pullback. So it's just a way to make sure that you can still interact with the gauge in the sense that it can go back to hand. Moving on to our grade 0s and our triggers. This will wrap up very quickly. Alright, so we have 4 copies of a Heal Guardian, we have 4 critical, and we have a front, and then we have baby. We have Dragonair. So our triggers are very simple. We are playing purely offensively. So 8 fronts to maximize the attack value to crush your opponent. 4 crits because we still need a sentinel, and then we play for Heal Guards because this is still the biggest unit we have in terms of attack power, so hey, it's not that bad. Heal Guard also helps Angerblader stay in the game in terms of keeping our early game defense high. Late game defense, we are assuming our opponent doesn't really have a late game, so that's why we're going for Heal Guardians. You could play all heals if you want, but you are giving up the idea of early grade 2 gaming. You could also play draw PGs, but the issue with draw PGs is that they cost too many cards from hand. So keep that in mind. And they don't help for your kill power if you flip them as triggers. Whereas we want to kill as Angerblader is the main conclusion that I have for this deck. Because I said somewhere in, I think, May or June that I wasn't going to do this deck profile because, you know, I've covered it before, right? I've done this before in February for BRO. There was no literal reason why I would do the same V deck again. Well, I was completely wrong. I was, really. If I knew that this card was this good, I definitely would have done Angerblader. I would have saved him for the release schedule for my deck profiles and done this later. But the fact still remains that the V promos are pumping new life into every V deck they touch right now. It's really insane, and I still feel that this format has a future no matter what people want to say. Like, look, just this deck, literally, I can go back to Yurite and rebuild this deck right now. It's probably only going to cost me about 3,000 yen maximum, and that's if I play 4 SV of this guy. So just know how cheap and fun this format is. You don't have over triggers to worry about. You don't have G zones to worry about. You don't have to try deny or whatever not. You don't need to. And that's why I still feel V is still a format worth going back to. And if you have decks that you really loved in the past, if you have decks that you want to go back to, that D doesn't have, or D, is not really keeping up with, this is the closest way to play authentic Vanguard, in the sense that you don't have a right deck. So, that's why I'm still always going to love this format. I'm going to love this deck, because it's just so fun. Look, do we have an OTK style deck like this in D? I don't think so. We don't even have a dinosaur deck onto Spinal Marquis. And my Spinal Marquis was delayed thanks to Yurite. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.